I think it would be quite cute to have some ambient lighting in there too. That's cute. Do you think that's cute? I think that's cute. You will have to excuse me because my throat is still recovering from the flu. I sound a little bit husky, but it's okay. In today's video, I wanted to go over debunking some curly hair myths. Things that I get asked a lot, whether it's true, whether it's not true, whether I should do these things or not. The issue that I have is that there is so much misinformation on the internet. Influencers and hairdressers combine all of that information together to sell something or to give you what they think is the truth. It perpetuates this a rising of not knowing what we're talking about. So I am coming to you with straight hardcore facts, and if you don't like what I've got to say, that's okay. If you want to carry on the way that you're doing your hair, if you want to carry on doing what you're doing, then that is okay. No one is telling you not to. I am just coming here and telling you what is a myth, what's not true, and what is true. The first thing that I wanted to say is about brushing your curls when they are wet. I have got so many clients and spoken to so many people that are terrified of brushing their hair after they have shampooed and conditioned it. You are not going to lose your curls if you brush your hair. When the hair is wet, it is in its beta state, meaning that the hair is stretched out. When the hair dries, it goes into its alpha state, meaning that the hair is unstretched. Now, when we're talking about curly hair, wet, beta, stretched out hair is going to be straight. Its alpha state, which is its dry space, is going to be its unstretched curl state. What we're doing when we are brushing the hair is we are simply smoothing out the hair, so when we go to dry it, that the hair, the kind of individual hairs that don't necessarily have somewhere to go, I call it like not having a family, you know, they need somewhere to be. Brushing that into itself is going to make sure that they sit in a curl clump, meaning that they have a family. Hair in a wet state is in its beta state. You're not going to stay in that beta stretched out state if you have naturally curly hair, because as your hair dries, it's going to curl back up into its natural unstretched alpha state. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. When we are looking at brushing the hair, remember that wet hair is more fragile, so be careful and be really conscious of how you're brushing it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like dry brushing, but hair is stronger when it's dry versus when it's wet. Be more cautious when you're drying your hair, when you're brushing your hair when it's wet. On the same subject of water and hair that's wet, air drying. Now, depending on where you live, air drying I have different opinions of. Where I'm from, in the UK, where the weather is unpredictable and awful all the time, air drying is not something that I recommend. It's not something that I condone. However, if you want to, again, who am I to tell you you can or can't do something? However, let me tell you the reasons why I don't like air drying. When you air dry, your hair is in its beta state. When your hair is wet, your hydrogen bonds are unstable. They are not stable, meaning that your hair is more fragile and it's prone to damage, breakage. It's going to have a lot of friction because it's moving constantly. Therefore, I personally don't like air drying because your hair is going to be in a more fragile state for long periods of time. There is also other reasons. So think of a warm, splodgy, damp space that bacteria can grow. That is exactly what is happening on your scalp when you air dry. Your scalp is going to be the most dense air place where your hair dries, meaning that this area here is going to be warm, wet, stodgy, and a perfect space for bacteria to grow on your follicles, on your hair strands, and on your scalp. Typically, when you are using products, they will have some form of preservatives in them. Sodium benzoate. That is a preservative. It's also makes sure that the bacteria in the product doesn't grow and it can't grow for its life shelf. Obviously, once it's pumped into your hair, that formulation is changed. The amount of bacteria that can grow can change pretty quickly because of that. It doesn't mean that you're going to get mushrooms growing out of your scalp, but it also doesn't mean that you're going to have a healthy, clean scalp for a long period of time. There are people that have gone their whole entire lives air drying their hair and never had an issue. The anomaly doesn't necessarily mean that every single person, if you air dry, is going to have that same impact. But it does mean I would be a little bit more cautious about how and when you're air drying. If you're in a really hot country where humidity really isn't a thing and it's like 20% humid air, so it's very dry and it's very warm, air drying is going to take 20 minutes versus 5 hours. So just again, be mindful of it, wait, depending on where you are, what you're doing. But personally, I would never recommend air drying. When it comes to curly hair brands, products that are targeted and marketed towards curlies. Now this goes from coily, kinky, curly all the way to anyone really. You are being sold marketing because they are targeted towards you. Every single person that has hair works with porosity, density, surface texture, diameter. Like, there are so many factors that go into hair that you can't possibly market a product to one specific type of person or one specific type of curl. Most people have more than one curl type in their hair. So when we're looking at curl marketed products, what are you searching for? I know off the way that marketing works and the way that curly hair works is that most of the products that are made for curls have some form of high moisture content, and they have trigger words like frizz, moisture, hydration, protein. It's what's used in the industry as buzzwords to make you buy something. And that is just a plain and simple understanding of marketing. Now, personally, I use brands that work for hair, health, and that are organic and environmentally cautious. None of the brands that I use are directly targeted at curls, but they work on all types of hair. All of the products that I use are designed for hair, not curl types, meaning that can be used on all hair types. When you're looking at products, don't just believe what you see that is marketing. Also, remember that influencers are being paid a lot of money to promote a product that you're going to use and you're going to buy to make them money, to make the brand money. The world is constantly trying to make money, and because of buzzwords, because of the industry, because curly hair has become more of a acceptable space, there is so much more in curls. People are taking advantage of that and it's not okay. So I'm here to tell you that just because a brand tells you that it is for curly hair and it's this and that and the other, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for your hair. My favorite one I talk about is curl by curl cuts are not good for curly hair. And I'll say that again with a lot of confidence. Curl by curl cuts are not good for curly hair. Not because that they don't serve a purpose, but because the understanding and the fundamentals of hairdressing isn't really used in a curl by curl cut. So a lot of the time, hair is literally taken, I'm going to show you. People will just take pieces of hair and start doing this in whatever fancy way they feel is necessary. That may look great on the day of styling, but actually it's just a choppy load of shit. You're not gonna get the cohesion that you're looking for. You're not gonna get the long-term goals for your hair. Do you want to grow your hair? Is volume something that you want long-term? Do you want a more rounded shape constantly? Do you want a shape that looks different on day 1 versus day 7? There are so many more things that go into it, and a curl by curl cut is literally just cutting off curls because they don't sit right on that particular day. I base all of my haircuts on precision. Those haircuts can be straightened out if you ever wanted to, and you would have a really even haircut. But the whole entire point of it is that I'm focusing on the hair's health and the long-term goals of your hair. So therefore, I don't really recommend curl by curl cuts. And if you can find someone that's not curl by curl cut trained or doesn't promote just curly haircuts and that is based on precision and precision only, you will have a more benefited space for your curls to have longevity. And lastly but not least, to keep this nice and short and sweet, because I know that the world is struggling with long form content, is that shiny hair or shiny and soft hair does not mean that your hair is healthy. And I will say it again, shiny and soft hair does not make your hair healthy. Unfortunately, because of Eurocentric beauty standards and the westernized world, we have been marketed and sold a lie, meaning that everyone says that if your hair is not soft and shiny, then your hair is damaged, dry, brittle, unhealthy, and that is far beyond the truth. We are all searching for our hair to be soft and shiny, and that is because of the Eurocentric beauty standards and the westernized world of what we should and shouldn't look like. Because of the industry that I am in, the hair industry, and that is so sold on magazines, TV, ads, hairdressers, educators, influencers. There is no one telling you that your hair should be exactly what it is naturally. So I'm going to take you a little bit closer to this hair and we'll talk about it. I love this like mirror and wood next to each other. The main reason being is because whenever I have a client in, it's really great for me to show people what I mean by surface texture. Every person has a surface texture. That surface texture is going to either be rough, smooth, somewhere in the middle. It is a reflection of light or not. So if your hair is slightly more rough, you are gonna have a slightly more matte feel to the hair's surface texture. So not only is it gonna feel slightly more rough, but it's also going to have that matte look, meaning that this doesn't reflect light in the same way that this glass does. Obviously I know this is a mirror, but even if it was my phone, for instance, it doesn't have the same reflection of light. You can see my reflection in this because it is a glossy, soft surface texture, smooth surface texture. This is rough and doesn't have any reflection of light. The moisture content, obviously not in these, but if we're speaking in hair, the moisture content in both of these hairs could be the exact same. But because of the surface texture difference, this one will naturally look more dry and slightly more rough. This one will look glossy and smooth and slightly softer. But it doesn't mean that either of these are unhealthy. It literally just means that these two have completely different surface textures. Now, the more that we learn about these things, the more that we can start to help the world and people's mindsets around their own hair change. Because I have had it in many times where I've had a parent in my chair or someone in my chair and they've turned around to me and go, my hair looks dry, it feels dry, it's damaged, it's this, and it's just a lack of understanding that that hair is exactly how it's supposed to be, because the surface texture is slightly more rough, meaning that it's going to have a slightly different feel. But there are products and certain styling methods that can give you a slightly different feel. So if you have a naturally soft surface texture, you can use something like a gritty foam that is going to make your hair slightly more rough, so you don't have that really soft surface texture. If you have a rough surface texture and you're wanting something smoother, then you can use something in a product, e.g. a curl cream or a styling lotion that is going to make the hair feel softer, smoother and more shiny. It is all about styling with intention, understanding why you want something and how we can get that. It doesn't mean that either of them are wrong or unhealthy. I know that sometimes the internet loves to give all of these reasons of why things happen, and I get it, it's very overwhelming and it's hard to then hear something different because we've been told so much so regularly by others. But I promise you that understanding that your hair is and exactly feels the way that it should naturally is so important to understanding your hair on a deeper level. And that's kind of really it today. If you want more of me debunking some myths, I will absolutely do it. I have got a book full of them, but I thought I would just dip my toes in lightly and see how we go. Thank you for being here. I can't believe in the space of 2 months we're on like 51,000 fucking subscribers. So thank you for trusting me, thank you for listening to me. Again, if any of it that you don't like, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to listen to it. And I will hopefully see you all very soon. Look after yourself. Thank you. And again, there is never any pressure to subscribe, but if you do, thank you. And I'll see you all soon. Bye! Bye!